The first short seller in history wasn't some hedge fund guy in a Patagonia vest. He was a furious, middle-aged Dutch merchant named Isaac Lemaire. And in 1608, he was so angry at the company that fired him that he invented an entirely new way to attack it, betting that its stock would go down. The company survived, Lemaire got wiped out, and the government's response, the world's first ban on short selling, is basically the same policy debate we had during GameStop in 2021. 400 years and we're still having the same argument. Let me back up. It's 1602 in Amsterdam. The Dutch have figured out that sailing to Asia and bringing back pepper, nutmeg, and cloves is insanely profitable. When it works. That's the catch. Ships sink, pirates take the rest, scurvy's undefeated. A single voyage could return 5 times your money or literally never come back. So the Dutch government forces a bunch of competing merchants to merge into one giant company, the VOC, the Dutch East Indian Company. And here's where it gets interesting. Instead of raising money from a handful of rich families, the VOC does something genuinely new. It opens investments to everyone. Any resident of the Dutch Republic can walk in and buy a piece of the company. And people do. Over 1,000 investors in Amsterdam alone, merchants, sure, but also craftsmen, widows, at least one housemaid. This, more or less, is the first IPO. But there's a problem buried in the fine print. Your money is locked up for 10 years. 10 years, no withdrawals. The company needs that capital to build ships and fortresses on the other side of the planet. It can't have investors pulling out because they got nervous. Except the charter includes one small clause. You can't take your money out, but you can transfer your shares to someone else. That clause is the accidental birth of the stock market. Because think about what happens next. Life happens. Somebody needs cash for a dowry, to pay off a debt, a business gone bad. They need to sell. Somebody else missed the original offering and wants in. They need to buy. All those people start finding each other. First on a bridge over the Damrak Canal, out in the open air in the rain because it is Amsterdam. Eventually the city builds them an actual exchange building in 1611, partly just to get them out of the weather. Nobody designed this, nobody sat down and said, let us now create the secondary market. It emerged immediately, out of one legal loophole, and a lot of people who wanted out or in. Within a few years, VOC shares have live prices that move on news. A ship spotted returning early, price jumps. Rumor of a wreck near the Cape, price drops. Sound familiar? Now back to our angry merchant, Isaac Lemaire. He was one of VOC's original directors, a big shareholder, a serious operator. Then he got pushed out over an accounting dispute, made to sign an agreement never to compete with the company, and sent out on his way holding a grudge the size of a cargo ship. So in 1608, he forms a secret syndicate with a plan way ahead of its time. They sell VOC shares they don't own, using forward contracts, promising to deliver shares at today's price on a future date. And then they work to drive the price down before the delivery date, spreading rumors, whisper campaigns about lost ships and bad management. Then they'd buy cheap, deliver at the agreed higher price, and pocket the difference. Short selling. Naked short selling technically, since they never owned the shares. Plus a little market manipulation on the side. All of this happened within 6 years of the stock market's existence. For a while it works, the price sags a lot, but then the VOC does two things. It leans on the government, and it pays a dividend, which pops the stock. And I love this detail. Part of that dividend was paid in mace, the spice. So imagine checking your brokerage account and finding seasoning. The squeeze crushes Lemaire's syndicate, he loses a fortune and spends his remaining years bitter about it. His tombstone literally mentions losing his money. But here's the payoff. In 1610, the Dutch government responds by banning short selling, specifically selling shares you don't own. The first securities regulation in history exists because the first short seller in history made powerful people uncomfortable. Did the ban work? Not really. Traders found workarounds almost immediately. The rules got reissued again and again over the following decades, which tells you exactly how well they were being followed. Now fast forward, 2008. Regulators around the world banned short selling of bank stocks mid-crisis. 2021, GameStop. Suddenly everybody on the planet has an opinion on whether short selling is predatory, or whether it's the immune system of the stock market, punishing bad companies and sniffing out fraud. That is the same argument Amsterdam was having in 1610, word for word, basically. The technology changed, the bridges became an app, but the behavior didn't. Because the market was never really about ships or spices or even stocks. It's a machine for pricing human disagreement, greed, fear, grudges, hype. Those don't get patched in the next update. So the next time someone tells you that the markets have gotten crazy lately, the first decade of the stock market had an IPO, a secondary market, derivatives, short sellers, a coordinated manipulation scheme, a government crackdown, and traders ignoring the crackdown. All before 1615. That's not something that can just be invented. Put enough people in a room with something to price, and all of that will happen on its own. If you want more stories like this, where the financial history is actually the point, not just a trivia, subscribe. Next one's already in the works.